How have things been for you during the pandemic?
I'm lucky that I can write because writing is my therapy, and and Netflix. But it was horrible. I never felt so lonely. Lonely enough to accept any care, good or bad, because it was adult conversation. It's having someone to talk to, and that's what's lovely about care. You communicate. Oh, when the first lockdown come, it didn't bother me to start with because I'm used to being on my own and I can't go far anyway. And that, but and then when church went on lockdown, everywhere were on lockdown. It was horrible. But the hardest bit was the appointments, the professionals used to come and see you, even if for a short visit or whatever, weren't coming. It was all phone interviews, counselling was interviews. I knew it was going on, and I accepted that, and I understood that. But it got less and less and less.
You wanted to talk about how reduced contact from the community matron affected you.
Andrew came and said he'd been working from home, and he came in his mask and everything, which was fine. But the agreement we had anyway was, I'd ring it if I didn't feel well or I wasn't good. I would ring him, and he would come and see me and keep me out of hospital. And sometimes I wouldn't see him for months, but that was how we worked. But if I was poorly, I could see him 3-4 times a week till I was right again. But I wasn't even getting phone calls. There was just nothing. But they can say it's the COVID and everything, and it's the cuts, and they can say everything. What excuses have I got? I can't say. Oh, and what can I say? And they were a lot busier. I appreciated that. I mean, I know, I'm flexible. As long as someone will tell me what's happening, I'll work round them. And I was just, it leaves me sat here on my own, depressed, thinking, I'm too bad, I've done something wrong. Old feelings coming back from the kid, and I felt used and abused again, and that made me angry. If I did ring, if it was in work, he would answer, or he always rang me back to say, sorry, I was with a patient. And I used to think if he hadn't rung, I know he's with a patient. I know, it's always been open with me. So maybe I put too much blame on the community matrix because it's nothing personal. It's about the system, not any person.
Tell us about your recent experience of trying to get emergency help.
I pressed my bracelet, and normally I'm on rapid response. And if they don't hear from me, they come straight away, and it's normally hospital anyway. And but nobody came, and I was on the phone. I was having a counselling session on the phone, and then she said, I asked her to stay on the phone and talk to me, so I was really, really scared. I knew I was bad. And she said, so she did. And told me to have the nebulizer while I was still on the phone with her. And press it again, she said, and I did, and nobody came. And then I must have fallen asleep at 8, I think it was 8 in the morning. I pressed it, someone called Darren came in from telecare to see that I was alright when I could have been actually dead because nobody had responded, and took one look at me and called 999 straight away. Said, I'm sorry, Kari, you need hospital. The paramedics said, I was trying to explain to them when they came that nobody responded, and he said, all you've got to do is ring. He said, why didn't you ring 999? And I said, I couldn't speak. I said, I couldn't talk. I couldn't breathe, let alone talk. So he said, we would have picked you up straight away. He said, you're on our monitor. He said, you're a regular. Which, he said, and we'd have been here a damn sight quicker than they were. He said, so next time, 999. He said, you don't even have to speak, somebody will be there. And the relief was, I can't describe the relief. If anyone is given a pendant or a bracelet, a lifeline, then it would be helpful to be told also that if there's no response or you deteriorate or you're worse, to ring 999, and even if you can't talk, somebody will take up your call.
When you were in hospital recently, how was the care?
I think that was the time when I had flu and pneumonia, and I was very, very poorly. I was put in isolation on the ward from one prison to another, which didn't do a lot for my mental health, which is why I wasn't having the vaccine and that. But the nurses were fantastic. Not just the nurses, the doctors, porters, orderlies, all the staff had bobbed their head in, because I'm known as the coffee girl, with a cup of coffee for me. So though I was in isolation, I didn't feel isolated. It was good. When they did come in and with the masks and everything on, the chat, to spend extra time and chat, and so I wasn't as isolated as I'd been at home where I wasn't seeing anybody.